All right, well, welcome everybody to the June 14th, 2022 meeting of the Delta Club, Delta Amateur Radio Club. We are meeting on Zoom today. If you haven't paid attention, COVID cases have been high. I think in the past week, we had quite a few of our active members and board members who had either been in touch with COVID or had COVID. So I know I probably wouldn't have been able to come tonight, even had we decided to go on and meet in person and do hybrid. So we certainly appreciate everybody who did come out on Zoom. Hopefully you are comfortable at your home, and it should be easy to follow along when Britt goes over logging here in a little bit. Of course, those who were hoping to meet, maybe if anything, it might just save you on gas money to spend on field day stuff later on. But nonetheless, we're happy to have everybody here. And just a reminder to help out Carolyn with the minutes and attendance. If you could, I think most everybody's done this already since we've gotten into that routine, but please be sure to add at least your call sign, if not your name and call sign, to your picture there. That would certainly help her out. And then next, we need to vote on the secretary's minutes and the treasurer's report. So we can read that, or unless anybody has a motion to accept those as is, can we get that?
So move.
Second.
All right, so is that Bill KK4 VPS with the motion? Did I hear that right? Or somebody
That's
else?
correct. Yes.
Okay. All right, so we've got Bill with the motion and Dan KN4 FBJ with the second. All in favor, raise your hand or say aye. All right. Any opposed, raise your hand or say nay. All right. I don't see or hear any objections, so it unanimously passes. With announcements, of course, ARRL Field Day is June 25th and 26th. We will cover more of that for our program, so sit tight on that. Joe, do you want to go on and give your training update and Huntsville bus update, or would you rather wait? All right. Well, I will, let's see. Dan, have you had any VE testing updates so far for us?
Let me unmute there. No, just chatting with ARRL. You know, we've got new technician tests starting up in July, but we're covered on all that. So just ready for next time we can meet out there. We had, I think I had 3 people email me or call about testing today, and I've been back in touch with them saying, well, we weren't doing it because of the not meeting in person, and I'm taking care of a couple of COVID people here, so I shouldn't be out around everybody like that. So yeah. Hopefully next month we'll be back on track.
All right, sounds good. Let's see, I'll go on and say this. Bluff City Blues bike ride. I know we've had a handful participate in the past. They reached out to us and asked if we would be willing to help again. So I'll let them know that we would be interested in helping, and that is going to be on October 8th. So for those who are not familiar, the Bluff City Blues bike ride, it's pretty nice because early October, typically you've got pretty good weather outside that you're dealing with, but the bike ride is over in the Millington area, but it goes all the way up through parts of northwest Shelby County, all the way out to like Burleson and Gilt Edge where they'll ride. So it's certainly a long bike ride, and we'll need stations and help at net control. We'll need folks to ride along or drive along in SAG vehicles to help pick up folks who may not be able to make it back to us. And then of course we'll have a few different stations throughout the course that we'll need people to set up and be at. So this is normally one, I'm sure Steve can say a lot about it. I see a lot of other faces on here who have helped out in the past. It's certainly one that since those bikes are on the road, you risk a lot of potential for them getting injured or getting lost, and it certainly helps to have ham radio operators out there who can reach back to where there is service to get out and help find people. So, does anybody have any questions, or does anybody want to speak any more about the Bluff City Blues bike ride?
Like I said, yeah, that is one. I was glad that they reached out to us. That is a good one. Yeah, you would think that if you've never done anything up in that part of the county, there is no cell service in a lot of that area for some reason because of the terrain and everything else. So that we are needed. And I will say they have got a great after party sometimes too. Usually good food and live entertainment, and the time of the year and everything, it's a nice event. So I was just wondering, usually the other one, the one that goes down to Tunica's before that, has anybody heard anything about that one yet? I checked their website the other day, and they are still showing they're going to have one in September. So if anybody hears anything about that one, we usually help that one too.
Okay. Because that's what the MS Rockin' 150.
Yeah, Rockin' Ride or Rockin' Ride, I think it is. I looked at their website. They are, it is planned. So, we might want to see if they're thinking they need us and what the plan is on that. I think Daryl Sheffield normally does that. That's in September, so we got some time, but
okay,
that one's a 2-day event, so that one usually does take some planning to get enough people for that one too.
Yeah, because that's normally with the 2-day event. Don't they normally start somewhere and ride over and then stay at the casinos?
And they start at Landers. Yeah, they start at Landers Center there, and they drive down to Tunica and spend the night, and then come back up. So that one's a pretty big event. Not to take away from the other one in October, but we might want to see if we know anything about that one too.
Okay. We'll try to see if we can reach out to him and get some more information before the next meeting. But something else, I think in years past, I haven't actually got to help with that one yet because there's something always that interfered. But and typically you don't have to help with both days for that if you can't, no. Correct? Like, don't they allow even like if you can help on Saturday or Sunday?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. And for those, because I know we've had a lot of new members in the past couple of years, and I know everything was weird with COVID and all, but if you feel like that you're not really progressing with your radio skills like you want to, a lot of these community service activities are great ways to get involved and like really get more familiar with your equipment. And not only that, but it is a community service activity. So it's kind of giving back to the community. There's been several of these where we've gone to events, and it's funny because we'll run into runners or bikers or some other participant who has their license, or they start telling us about how their granddad or uncle or aunt had their license, and so it's just a good way to kind of get folks talking about ham radio as well. So, all right, Joe, were you on yet? Joe Lowenthal?
Yes, okay. I am.
Do you feel like talking about the training update yet?
Okay, training. We have a tech class scheduled to start, and I'm pretty sure it will, since we already have 9 students signed up in the last week. So that's a week in about 10 days. I think I put it out a week ago Saturday. So we've got 9 students so far. That'll be from July the 7th until August the 11th on 6 Thursday nights from 6:15 to 9:30. The FCC exam will be given on August the 4th. And that'll be, the first 4 will be via Zoom. And the fifth class will be in person at Ellendale. And the sixth class will be in person at Ellendale if the health conditions are such that we can have it. Otherwise, that equipment demonstration class, that sixth one, will be via Zoom if the health situation is not good. That's the only training that we have scheduled so far, other than the normal routine is that the first week in November, usually we have a general class starting, and then a class in January for an extra class. Also, Mary Jean, I don't know if you got note, Carolyn lost power, so she's off. That's all for training right now.
All right. What about the Huntsville Hempfest bus?
Huntsville, it's promising, but not guaranteed. We've got 22 people now that say they are willing to go. We need at least 28 to be able to keep from breaking the bank of between $450 to $500 we'd be losing if we had 28 people. The break-even point is 36 people.
All right, and then what all does that ticket include? I mean, I think most everybody's probably heard that.
$85 includes the transportation, $15 entry fee to the Ham Fest, 2 breakfast biscuits, water, sodas, cookies, and crackers on the way down during the day, and whatever's left over on the way back. We'll leave from Germantown Baptist Church at 6:30 in the morning promptly. If you're not there by 6:30, you're left. We don't wait on you because it's late enough getting into Huntsville as it is. The only person we wait on is the food. We get down to the Von Braun Center about 9:45 in the morning. We back up to the loading dock at the Von Braun Center, and one of the people bring me the tickets that we've already called the quantity in to them. They'll bring the tickets and the metal badge and and we'll go in the back door. The ticket barrel is on the far side of the building when you get there. So fill out your ticket and get it in the barrel so you'll be able to be there for the 10 o'clock drawing. You can come back to the bus during the day and get a cold drink to keep from having to pay $2.50 or $3 for a drink at the Von Braun Center sales area. Then we'll leave after the 4 o'clock drawing, getting back to Memphis about 8 or 8:15. It's $85, and we need to have 28 people by June the 30th and paid, or else it's just too expensive. It isn't worth over $500 just to subsidize, 22 people. Well, 22 people, it'd be almost $1,000.
Yeah. Well, and I think, again, most everybody should be pretty familiar with it, and you've either been or you've heard us talk about it a couple times. But quite often when we have, especially newcomers, and I would say I was certainly one of them, come back from that bus trip, the way, after you're on your feet all day and you go shopping, or, if you're on your feet going to some of the forums and everything, it's certainly nice to be able to walk back even during lunchtime. If the tables are all filled up, then you can kind of go and sit in the cool air conditioning on the bus to eat, go take a nap. If you buy anything, you can go take it back and somebody's on the bus watching it. So it's certainly nice. If you were to drive down on your own, I mean, I know 85 is a lot of money, especially with everything now. But for the value, you certainly get your money's worth. I mean, I know Joe's done a lot of math on it to see where we need to be. I know we don't want it to get too high, but we don't want it. We want to try to, like he said, we don't want to subsidize too much as a club for it. But if you were to go down on your own, I mean, you're going to spend, it's $15 the ticket, $5 or $10 on to park, and then so especially with prices now, it's hard to and I mean, unless you've got incredible gas mileage, it's hard to stretch $60 for a round trip, 400-mile, 200 each way trip to go down there, and of course cover snacks or anything like that. So I do want to say, you know, again, thank you, Joe, for handling that. And if you're on the fence about it, reach out to somebody who's been. There's quite a few of us who have been, and it's always nice, especially on the way to and from there, to get to talk to people and get to meet some of our members who we haven't quite gotten to know really well. So it's always a fun trip. Does anybody have any questions
And
about
the ones that are on it,
Huntsville?
talk it up so other people will come with you.
Yeah. That's true. All right, something else, and Joe, you could probably fill in the details, but actually, I tell you what, we'll go on. Barry, are you ready to give us an update?
Yeah, it's not that much of one, but Rick and I went out the other day and we put a Pat's TDR reflectometer on the line, and I hate to say we didn't really see anything. I don't know if that's good or bad. We did some other testing, you know, where we could, but we are still getting a, Rick can correct me, it's like a 4.2 SWR on the transmit. And, but we did see something that was really strange. And one time we keyed up and everything looked normal. Then all of a sudden the SWR jumped up. So as I was talking to Pat, and he says, yeah, it sounds like a bad connection. So bottom line is, I believe we're going to have to get another tower climber to go up there and check things out. We just have to get our ducks in a row and know what we want to do, because, you know, hopefully it's not the antenna. You know, I don't know what could have happened to it, but we replaced the pigtail right up there at the top last time, and that was fine for a while. And now all of a sudden we got problems again. So, but this, I don't know if we've ever had high SWR before on this thing. It's always been a receive problem. But anyway, we don't know. And anybody's got any ideas, we're open to suggestions. So we'll be talking a little bit more about getting a climber. It's not cheap.
Yeah. Speaking of
One-
the, yeah, go ahead, Joe.
One thing on the Huntsville bus trip, make a check payable to Delta Amateur Radio Club. And I should be at field day, and you can bring your check at field day and pay me if you, otherwise I'm good in QRZ, and you can mail a check to my home QTH.
Barry, are they still working on the stuff for the TV station?
Yes, they are. And I don't think we should do anything until they're done. They have actually taken down all of the waveguide that was damaged. And it's all piled up in a huge pile out there. And they just took a Sawzall or something and just cut it all out. But this is 18-inch stuff. So pretty big stuff. But from what I understand, they're planning on doing the same thing to Channel 24. So I just don't know. It looks like, from what I can tell, they ran this new stuff right up there in the middle of ours.
Could they have hit something there? Or do you think we could ask them to check our stuff?
Well, I mean, the TDR should have shown any damage that was done. And we didn't see anything on that. But, you know, the biggest bet is the pigtail up there, the connections going to the antenna. So,
Do you think we could pay them a little bit of money to look at the pigtail?
well, I've tried that before. And actually, I can't find a time that they're out there. So these guys are doing $1 million job, you know, and I've tried that before, you know, to get our antenna put up, but didn't work out. It was going to be cheap too, like $450. Rick, you got anything to add?
Not really. Yeah, that deal was the light crew from a year or so back, and then our connection in between us and them decided to die on us, so that kind of messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and since the repeater has been having those issues, everybody, I'm assuming it is still cut off, correct, Barry?
Yes.
Okay. So for the time being, if you've tried to check in on the nightly information net on the 146.820 frequency, it is not, again, the repeater's turned off right now. So what we've done is, because quite a few people were having issues getting into the 625 repeater, it's the nightly information net has been on the 443.700 frequency. So that has a +5 megahertz offset and a PL tone of 107.2. So it's we had started last fall, so almost a year ago now. We started having the 440 net on there to kind of, you know, get it up and going, test the waters, to see how it worked. And so it's been nice to be able to kind of fall back on it. If you haven't checked in with this already, you should certainly try checking into the nightly information net while it's on that frequency. So that way you can kind of get that programmed into your radio. I know if you're not really sure how to get that programmed into your radio, reach out to an Elmer, and I'm sure we can or email any active member, and we can try to find somebody who can maybe get with you to help you get that programmed, because it's certainly nice to get to check in and hear everybody. While we are meeting with the nightly information net on the 443.700, there is not a 440 net on Friday night. So it would be kind of redundant to go from on the same frequency back to back. So we've temporarily put a pause on the 440 net while we are meeting with the nightly information net on that frequency. And then also for the next 2 months, the YL net is on a summer pause. So that net that normally meets Saturday night at 8:45 will not be meeting for the next 2 months. So does anybody have any questions or anything about those net announcements?
I will add a little bit of information that the 440 repeater that she's talking about, the antenna is about 6 feet away from our 8.2 antenna. So it's just as high, just a different band.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds, even when we, well, it sounds pretty good. And we've had folks check in from I think even Collierville and Midtown, and they've come through with a pretty good signal. So it certainly is doing the job and everything that we need for now.
I got a question. Did the you said what repeater did we use on the Bluff City last year? The last time we did it? Was that the was
I
that
think
the
you
Delta?
used the 8.2.
2 years ago, I think we would have used the 8.2 because we didn't really start up with that until last year. And then last year, I don't think we helped out, correct, Steve, with Bluff City? Okay. So yeah, I believe we would have done the 8.2 2 years ago, Bill.
440 probably can work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can certainly try it.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Especially if all the issues are still going on a couple months down the road, and depending on what it takes for us to get out there and look into that, then that certainly could be an option for us. So. Just a reminder, so I know we had talked about it a little while back. It's going to take some time for us to get some things set up for us to be able to accept digital payment. So I would encourage you to continue to, if you haven't already, fill out your Delta Club membership applications and mail those in. If you are coming to field day or even want to just stop by for a few minutes, feel free to fill it out and drop it off. I know I'll be there, try to be there most of the time, but one of our board members should be there who could take that from you. But if not, mail it in, and hopefully next month, if not, you can bring it in person to that meeting. So continue to mail those in for now. And then hopefully once we get some traction going with the digital option, then we'll let you guys know something, but it'll probably take a little while for us to do that. Is there anybody have any other announcements for us?
Yeah, I've got one. I run a what is called the skimmer net, which stands for Shelby County Emergency Management Agency Reserve net on the 1.7.36 machine Monday evenings at 6 p.m. for about 15 minutes. And everybody's welcome to come over and check in on that net. It's a training net. We would activate if the National Weather Service Memphis issues a severe thunderstorm warning or tornado warning for Shelby County. That's all I have.
What frequency again did you say, Ned?
It's 147.36. It's off the North Hospital, and it's Delta Club's machine.
Okay.
I have an announcement, Mary Jane.
All right. Yeah, go for it, Warren.
I don't know if everybody knows Cliff Ray, KC5IGS. He was on the Bullfrog net for many, many years, and he passed away either yesterday or today. And his funeral is going to be sometime on Thursday, and I posted that on the Delta Club website.
They haven't set a time yet that I know of. Thank you for that, Warren. I was going to say something about that as well. So.
Okay. Hate to hear that.
KC5IGS was his call.
We need to make another announcement. Anybody that does not have their call sign up on the Zoom name, if you would, please put your call sign in. We'd like to have it so we can know who's there or who's with us tonight. If you don't know how to do it, go up to where your name is in Zoom. There's a blue box with 3 dots. Click on it, and you should be able to see rename, and then you can put your name and call sign in.
All right. outside of field day, any other announcements, or does anybody have any questions about anything we can help with?
Mary Jane, this probably goes to Joe, but Dave Norris was talking about the affiliated club thing. Did we ever do anything or hear anything more out of that? My renewal for ARRL is coming up, and if we're gonna ever do anything with it, I'd sure like to run it through the club.
Mary Jean and I talked about it. I meant to bring it up at the board, this past board meeting, and did not. But I think it's we haven't figured out exactly the logistics of who gets paid and that the application and the money. I think what we're going to do is the application, fill out the application and make it payable to ARRL, and then we'll send it in, and then they give us back $5 for each renewal or $15 for each new application, or if a ham has had an ARRL membership expired for over 2 years, it'll be $15 for that person as well. So it can be a money maker, but it does take we've got to understand what we're going to be doing and who's going to do it to get it in. And I understand that you can do it on a monthly basis rather than on an annual basis.
So I guess while we're talking about it, like Joe said, we forgot to bring it up and talk about it at the board meeting, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Would y'all be willing, when you go to renew your ARRL membership, instead of like renewing online or mailing something in, would you be open to submitting your application and check for that to Delta Club, and then we turn around and send in a bunch at a time to get a little money in the process back from ARRL? Would y'all be open to that idea, or is anybody heavily objected to that?
If we go
idea?
forward with electronic payment, I'd love it.
You need a motion?
I got a question.
Probably not.
$5 a renewal, or is it $5 a year?
$5 for renewal. Well, if you renew it,
for
I'm not
3
sure
years.
whether if you're doing multiple year membership, if it's multiple $5 or not. I will find out.
The only
Yeah,
problem is you're about a week late.
Well, and in the meantime, if your ARRL membership runs out like in the next few weeks, still I would encourage you to go on and renew it and everything, because I think we have quite a few members, and if this is going to be an ongoing thing, and this is something we decide to do, surely it would go for more than a year. But yeah, like Joe said, we still need to kind of double check some things to see what the process would be, and double check some of the details. It seems like it would be a good way to maybe help you guys out, if you didn't mind, paying at the meeting or something like that. And it seems like it'd be a good way to raise a little bit of money for the club. But I don't know. Bill, was it Bill who started to say something or ask something?
You need a motion to proceed, or are we just still discussion?
I mean, if you guys really feel strong enough, we can go on and vote on it and go. But if not, if there's not an objection, well, I guess we could. Sure. Does anybody have any questions about it? Board members, regular members?
Is there anything negative about it that would that might impact or be a reason not to vote for it?
The negative downside on it, because if somebody doesn't want to do it, they can just do it themselves through directly, and yeah.
See, like Steve said, there's not a requirement. If we decide to do this as a club, there's not a requirement for our members to pay through Delta Club. So you could still go online, you could still mail it in straight to ARRL. From what we had kind of talked about a little bit, the only downside would be, and this is where we'd have to kind of find out which board member would process it, who would mail it in, kind of specific logistic details like that. So that would be a little more work on our end. But I mean, again, if it's something everybody's kind of filling out and sending in anyway, I mean, that could get a small amount of money for the club, enough to maybe offset the bus trip to Huntsville, or maybe pay for snacks for a couple meetings, or pay for part of the repeater fixes. So I mean, it could really come back and benefit the club for sure.
And the only thing is, it was a good question if it's per year or per renewal. You know, if somebody does it for several years and they save, I don't know what the saving, you know, I normally do it that way because I think there is a savings for doing it multiple years. Some people might, you know, if you're renewing just 1 year at a time so that the club can get that, then you might end up, it wouldn't be to your advantage. So that we might want to wait until we see the answer on that question.
Yeah, and we'll probably we'll wait and let everybody know on the next meeting. Since there's no objections, we'll certainly continue to look into it. But it would be nice, I'm sure, to figure out exactly how we want to process it, and that would directly impact more of the people who will have to process and handle that and submit that. But we'll look into it, and yeah, let everybody know next month. So does anybody else have anything before we dive into field day? Okay. All right, so field day again is June 25th and 26th. So that's a Saturday and a Sunday, and it starts at 1 o'clock on Saturday and it'll go through 1 o'clock on Sunday. So field day is going to be held. There's different spots all over. Delta Club's going to be participating with Neshoba and Mara. I guess Aries will be involved in that as well, with John and the other members. So a bunch of different clubs in the area have come together to work at the one at the Germantown Municipal Park. And that, all right. So, of course, Germantown Road is here. And so Germantown Municipal Park, if you are not familiar with, and this is where it was at last year, if you're not familiar with where that park is at, the GPAC, Germantown Athletic Club, the tennis courts, and I think you can see the tennis courts from the road. Of course, the fire station and the library and all that is in the area as well. So that's it's in the middle of all that. And there will be several different stations. So an information table will be, of course, in the gazebo. And whenever you get there, I wish it had road names. I can't remember what it is, but there's two ways to get there and park. So whenever you're going to, coming to the event, you can park, and I'll have a question. Can y'all see my mouse moving with this, or just the map? You can? Okay. So when you park, if you come in off Germantown Parkway, there's the tennis courts, there's some parking here, and then there's parking up that'll get you fairly close to where we're going to be. A lot of us, what you can do is if you turn down, I cannot remember what this road is, but if you swing around Neshoba, and swing around where GPAC is. You can park in that big parking lot right here. You can come in from, is it what, West Farmington? Is that right? Farmington Boulevard?
Yeah, Farmington Boulevard.
Farmington Boulevard, and then you can come up that way. And there's also a small, if anybody needs it, there's a small parking lot right there by where the gazebo is. So, but your best bet for parking, especially if you don't mind walking just a little bit, it would be over near the tennis courts or in front of GPAC. So the gazebo, when you first get there, if you can head to the gazebo, well, there will be an information table that Joe would normally mans, and he's going to work that again this year. Of course, we'll have food. Sorry, y'all, my mouth is overshooting this. We'll have food and everything when that's served as well in the gazebo. So we'll also have two stations located under that gazebo as well. We'll have CW, so Pat Lane, and I think Carolyn Horn is even going to help out with that on Sunday morning. So we'll have the CW station under there, the GOTA station. So get on the air for those who are new to ham radio, who don't have their license yet, or maybe haven't been on in a long time. That's a good station for them to get started on. And we'll have Paul Roberts working that. Down here, there we go. So as you kind of go a little bit to the northeast of the gazebo, it'll still be under the trees. Steve Frazier is going to be working the 15 and 80 station. And then Fred Miller is going to be working 20 meters on the north side of where the playground is. So it'll be between the parking lot and the playground. He was a lot closer to the gazebo last year, and there was some interference and everything with that. So we're going to try seeing if that move helps. Of course, digital and phone on solar power. We'll have John Reiners and Barry McDonald, and then VHF and satellite station will be kind of a little further south of all that with Rick Tillman. So does anybody have any questions about kind of where things are with that?
Restrooms to the left.
And restrooms to the left. So it's just a short walk, just a couple minutes. So, and everything will be on site. Food that we'll have, of course, there will be free food there. So food Saturday lunchtime, we'll have sandwiches. The plan is Saturday lunchtime will be sandwiches. We'll have pizza for dinner, and then some breakfast biscuits and donuts and things like that for breakfast on Sunday. And of course, we'll have snacks for everybody and drinks to either munch on or drink on throughout the day, and especially for those folks who are staying overnight. The call sign that we will use will be W4EM. So Whiskey 4 Echo Mike is the call sign, but for the GOTA station, we will use the call W4BS. So Whiskey 4 Bravo Sierra. Let's see. And logging software, Rick will go into more of that in a little bit, but we'll be using the N3 FJP logging software. And then before we get into that, I guess, does anybody have any questions, or in general, if you have any interest at all in either testing out some of your equipment or maybe learning how to set up some of the station equipment, I would certainly encourage you to either, we can talk about that now during this part of the program, or if you want to reach out to the person who is going to be kind of in charge of that station, then we'd certainly encourage you to do that. Because one thing we'd like to do is get more folks involved, and it'll help out so the folks who are running the stations, and they'll know what they're doing. But it's just good to kind of get help with setting up, and it's good to go out and learn. If there's something that you're not really sure what to do with it, or or how that frequency works. Maybe, get in touch with the station or stop by and visit with that station and see how to operate it and see what you can learn.
Let me make a comment. One is that Rick will go over the logging, but one of the things you might want to do if you're not certain is to get in and start do logging first. And then after a while, you'll see what the rhythm is of the contest. It looks like we'll be, what, 3 alpha, 4 alpha? 80, 20, digital, CW, yeah, 4 alpha. So when you do CQ field A, CQ field A, CQ field A, this is Whiskey 4 Echo Mike 4 Alpha Tennessee, and that's the division that we're or the section that we're in is Tennessee. Everybody will be giving that type of exchange, and that's where the logging comes in. We'll have a list of the different sections, but a lot of the sections are the state abbreviations, but Florida and California and Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, New York all have multiple sections within their state. You'll have to understand what those are, and then the Canadian provinces have their abbreviations as well. But that's sort of the routine for field day. A lot of new hams start out doing logging and then see how the operation goes, and then get on the radio and actually do calling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it'll be nice to especially if we could get enough to kind of continue it, the contesting until pretty late at night or early Sunday morning. It'd be nice to get some more folks, but it's also nice just to kind of get some folks in the afternoon, so that way the folks who are on there a lot kind of get a break. And of course, the point of field day too is that somebody's going to be there to teach you and guide you, like Joe said, maybe starting off on logging and then switching over to the on-air stuff. So I had a couple questions come through in the chat asking about setup and things like that. So setup typically starts Saturday morning around 8 or so. Is that right, Joe? Or anybody for that matter?
8 or 9.
8 or 9. So if you
contest starts at 1 and goes for 24 hours.
So if you've got anything, if you've got a specific station in mind that you'd like to help out at, the best thing to do would probably be to get in touch with that station manager, and feel free to reach out to me and I can get you in touch with them if you don't have their contact information. But if not, show up around 8 or 9 o'clock, because there's going to be antennas that need to be hung. There's going to be equipment that needs to be set up, and even more generic stuff. It's always good to kind of help folks carry equipment from their vehicles to the tents and everything. So there's certainly going to be plenty to do, and there's always a big need for help with setup. So Saturday around 8 or 9 a.m. is a good time to be there. So my email address is ky4fb at arrl.net. If anybody and that'll go through. But let's see, any other questions? All right, well, I'm going to hand it over to Rick in a minute, but while he's talking about logging software, if you have any more questions that pop up, we'll double check after this. So I know it's certainly going to be nice to get outside and see everybody and bust out some equipment and get on the air. So Rick, are you ready to go?
Ready?
All right. Well, you should be able to share your screen when you're ready.
No, they're gonna remind me how this rascal goes here.
I think it should be a button down at the bottom that says screen share with a little square and an arrow. Try that.
I clicked it just now.
And then it'll pop up some options. So if you want your whole screen, you can click something, but if you want a specific document or website page, then it should have those options
right.
for you. Awesome.
Does it show up on yours? I got it on mine.
Yes, it's
Yes,
on.
sir.
Okay.
Yep, it's online.
This looks
Okay.
familiar.
Yeah. Now this is, I left a copy of last year's for 6 meters on here just purposely because, it's hard to explain a program when you don't have any information in it. I'm trying to, I can't get behind the, there's, rats. Hang on a second. There it goes. I want to click all up here so you can see all entries. There's,
Yeah.
this is like say 6 meters, a couple of satellite contacts. If you go down the list here where it says sat. Let me turn on the lights so I can see my notes here real quick. All righty. First thing we're going to bring up, so we don't have any official OO emails, hate mails, or whatever that Pat got once upon a time, is don't get too close to the edge of the band because your signal spreads out multiple on both sides of the center frequency. So if you're right on the edge of the band, you'll be out of band on one side there, as Pat can tell us. Another thing that came up because of that, let me pull this thing down again. Where it says operator, first thing right here. I'll call it changing of the guard. Whoever's working the radio, or in this case, not the logger, but so much the operator of the radio, put your initials or your name in here. And like Joe suggested, put 3 letters for your initials, not BJ or something, because that could be, multiple people sometimes. So in my case, I might put ART, done. And as you take over for somebody else, the idea is to go up there and take theirs out and put yours in there for that purpose. So we can keep track of who was operating at what time periods. All righty.
Rick, what about just putting their call sign in?
Well, you can probably do that. I have never tried. Let's see what happens here. Should work. Yeah, no. It put WAS when I put WA. It only takes 3 characters.
Oh, okay.
Something to designate who you were. But that's for the operator more so than the logger, is what we want. Okay. Looks like part of my screen's missing here. You got band up here. You can click and pick up what band you want. As in this case, we're on 6 meters. Or this thing is cutting off part of the screen at the bottom, so I can't show you something. Let me see if I can move it again. Okay, down here you can use left or right mouse button and step through them like that, or right button, go back the other way. Same way with your phone, digital, CW, or back around the phone in this case. So you can change it here, or you can change mode and band up the top here, whichever's easiest for you. Okay, the main thing is you got 3 things you got to put in, like Joe just mentioned a while ago. You got a call, you got a class, in our case, W4 Echo Mike, which is not our call, it's going to be the person you worked. Class is going to be 4 Alpha, in our case, it's going to be whatever they report to you. And then the section, as you see over here on the right, everything that's in blue was worked last year on 6 meters. So if it's the Alabama, South Carolina, which is 4 land call, doesn't necessarily mean they're there, I guess, but they're going to report where they are. So if I want to work a W1AW, I can just type W1AW. Now this thing is smart enough to know that when a call ends and when the class starts. So you don't have to, you could tab over, in this case, there. Or if I'm here, you can hit space bar and it'll bring you over. Or if I'm there and don't do anything, and I tell it it's 4 alpha, it's smart enough to move to the next block already. And if they come back and say I'm in South Florida, for instance, right here, SFL, you can just type South Florida and you're done. All you have to do is hit the enter button, click, and you notice it popped up on the screen up above here. Let's see. Okay, if you make a boo-boo, say you're supposed to be 5 alpha, you can go up and click here, and then automatically give you an edit or delete. Most of the time, you're just going to hit edit. And it's going to bring up the entries that you just put in. I'm going to stop there, backspace, and put 5 alpha. And then hit done, which is hidden behind my screen here, and then I'll log it. Now we got 5 alpha, South Florida, date, time, such. In the band. Okay, and the rules for field day, you can only work a station on one band in one mode. Now you can go to another band and work them again. So if you work W1AW and 6 meters in this case, I can go down here and let me bump it the other way. Say I work them on 10 meters. Now I can put them in there again, W1AW.
Rick, show them what happens when it's a dupe.
Yeah, I was going to get to that eventually. I got all those in notes here. And then I can, like say, fill it out. And also, if you noticed, since I worked them once and it had this information, which isn't going to change because their location and their class is the same, and I automatically fill the blanks in for you. So all you had to do is hit enter. And now I've got them on 10 meters phone up here and the 6 meter contact. Okay, and if like I'm in 10 meters still, say I've made 10 more entries in here, but I go back and say W1, and automatically, like Joe's talking about, shows down here in the bottom, possible dupe. If I hit W1AW, now to really remind you, I think if you click it, it'll come up with a female voice, which you won't hear on this demo, I don't think. But you see that red flash come up? Well, it said duplicate on there with a female voice. So it's telling you, hey, you messed up. So in that case, I don't think it's going to let you log it. Thanks for what the deal is. So if you get a dupe, you can go down there and hit clear right there. Or you can hit the escape key, I believe, also. Let's see, W1AW, enter. If I hit my escape key on my keyboard, which you can't see, it just wipes it out also. So that's 2 ways of erasing it in a hurry. Okay, this is pretty simple. Okay, and over here, like I say, anything that's blue would tell you what you've already worked. Just kind of a gee whiz type thing. If it's still red, you haven't worked it. Now, if you click on one of them, like South Florida, I don't even had to click on it, I just hovered over it with my mouse. If you look over here, I'm going to click on it so it stays there. Well, it didn't stay there after all. If you look on the bottom left side here, watch this area when I hover over South Florida. It'll tell you I worked them 5 times total. 10 meters once, 6 meters 4 times, and phone, all 5 contacts were on phone. The total of the 2. That just kind of gives you some gee whiz stuff there. Okay, if you want to go see what you've worked, you can go up here and view and map, and you're not going to hurt anything at all as far as the program and messing up their login. This, in this case, will show you every state in a color that I have in that log. Everything white has not been worked. Excuse me. And somewhere it's hiding again. Okay. And also, another thing, a gee whiz thing, if you go view and hit graft, well, shucks, it's not showing up now. It's probably because it showed up earlier today, but it showed, some graph lines here. I probably had to change the time back somehow, but it will show you CW in blue, phone in green, of course, digital, but it'll show you kind of your activity. It might be a big blank in the middle here, which is when you took a break or just came back the next morning, Sunday morning, in that case. And that is basically the, click done down here to get back to it. That's pretty much how simple it is. Make sure when you sit down, you verify what mode the operator's working, which in this case, like she told us earlier, they're going to be CW and Pat's case, phone and most of the rest of them. But you can change to here, and it will change down here also. As you in your band, if you go down to 80 meters here, and it moves down here at the same time, you can watch it change. So if you get those two correct, and you just, like say, you type the call in, WA4OVO, and I can just sit 1 Alpha Tennessee, and then touch a tab, space bar, or anything. It just jumps to the next blank, then hit enter button, and you see it brings it up above here. If I don't want it, I just say delete. Are you sure? Yes, and it's gone. That's it. It's extremely simple. Even I can do it.
One thing that, the thing that might confuse some people, like in California, there's 10 sections in California. EB is East Bay, LAX is Los Angeles, ORG is Orange County, PAC Pacific, SB is Santa Barbara, SCV is Santa Clara Valley, SDG is San Diego, SF San Francisco, SJV is San Juan Valley, and SV, remember what SV is, Rick?
No, but it doesn't matter. You don't even have to know those, because if the guy tells you I'm at, 5 Alpha SDG San Diego, you just type SDG up here in the log and it put it.
Well, sometimes they'll say San Juan Valley or whatever and not give the initials.
But
And then in Canada, Alberta, British Columbia, GTA is trying to think now. But you have Ontario East and Ontario North and Ontario South. PE is PI I think on the Atlantic coast.
Prince Edward Island.
Prince Edward Island.
yeah, if you hover the mouse over it, it'll tell you what it is.
Oh,
It's like
okay.
right here, San Diego, San Francisco, SV is Sacramento Valley. It pops up and shows you. Now, also, when I worked at Guadalupe on 6 meters last year, it shows up under DX automatically. So if I hover over DX, and it's telling me I had one contact in the bottom left there, 6 meter band, phone, phone mode. So like I said, it'll show this entry right here. I don't want to do anything with, so just tell it cancel. But it's, if you get into a screen, it's very simple to back out of it without messing anything up. And my head is running. Starting to cough. Dry throat.
Rick, you may let them know how to get this software.
Yeah, well, the operators that set up the station, each person like Pat and such should have it loaded, so they don't have to worry about doing all that. Now, if somebody wants to play with it or something, you can get a hold of me and I can give you the, you can download it off N3FJP site. I wonder if I can, let me minimize this, see like, get rid of some junk here. You can look real quick. Don't want all this. jp.com. Okay, can you see that?
No, you haven't dropped out the N3FJP.
All right.
probably up in the top, there's a red bar that says something about close share screen.
Well, I was just trying to bring up the browser and do it. Well, anyhow, I just, basically, if you go to the m3fjp.com, it'll bring up this homepage. And it's the fourth category over says contest logs. You hover over it, drop down, the very first that says ARRL contest logs. And go to the right, there's a whole slew of them listed. And the third one down says field day. If you just go down and click it, it'll give you the option to download it. And the latest version is 6.6.3, which is the one I just showed you. I didn't see much change from last year's. Nothing you can ID. But if you want to download that, you can, like I say, I can give you the password. You have to use my call initially to install it. And I can give you a password if you want to, you know, play with it at home or something. And I figure out where my screen went. I think it's right there. Okay. But that's about it. You know, it's extremely simple to use. Like I say, you can see the entries I made today versus 6/15. Now, it doesn't tell you what year it is. I happen to know this was last year's, all the 6/27 stuff. So I can go back and look at the calendar and tell when field day was last year. Obviously, and like I say, you move them up and down here. You know, I only did 2 satellite contacts. You know, you get your 100 points for the first one. What's the point of tying up the birds? Because everybody and their brother around the country is trying to get their 100 points. You know, they actually, in AMSAT has a little secondary contest I've never participated in for that reason. I figured, why, you know, booger up somebody else. And I would not dare try an FM satellite pass. It is a goat rodeo, to say the least. Okay, I'm going to close this. And says sharing windows closed. So I guess you're back to the regular screen, right?
Right.
Okay. That's it. If anybody had any questions, I meant to tell you to jump in there, which Joe kind of filled in some spots. But it's extremely simple to use. Like, it's so simple that actually an operator could probably do it almost on his own with, you know, if you can work a mic with your left hand and log with your right hand with a mouse, you know, it doesn't, or actually you don't even need a mouse hardly, just a keyboard, type in a call, they had to jump to the next screen, hit your 4 alpha and the next screen section and hit enter button. I mean, you can do it that quick.
If you're doing digital, it can all be automatic.
There you go. And it had a manual mode in there for all that also.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of these newer radios are so smart. And I like the birds in the background there, John.
Thank you.
Blue Angels this weekend, right?
Yep, that's true.
Blue
If you can brave
flights.
the heat.
Oh yeah. So that's all. Mary Jean.
Okay. Well, does anybody have any questions for Rick, or I guess any comments about the logging software? All right, here's a general question for everybody, because I know we've got some screens blacked out and some that we can see, but who all here is planning on coming down to field day, whether it's for several hours or just stopping by to say hey? So I see a couple. No way, not you, Steve. Oh, I'm kidding. Okay, so a good number of hands. All right. Well, does anybody, is this going to be anybody's first year for coming to field day, or has everybody been to one before? Okay. All right, well, if anybody does have any questions, okay. So, all right. So again, it is June 25th and 26th. So it is a Saturday and Sunday. And the contesting starts at 1 o'clock. So if you would like to come early enough for some free food, try to be there maybe around 12 o'clock or so on Saturday. Hopefully, you'll come a little earlier than that to help with setup or moving or hauling, but you're certainly welcome. Anybody's welcome to come by around lunchtime for that. Does anybody, let's see. I don't know. Does anybody have anything they want to share for our new? We have a couple of new people, I think, who will probably be there. But does anybody who's been before want to share any tips for what they need to bring or do?
Chairs. If you're going to stay there, if you're planning on staying for a while, bring a chair. That would help. And seriously, if you're new to setting up antennas and stuff, be there when we're setting up. I mean, that's a key thing, seeing how to put an antenna. Most of us are putting antennas up in the trees. So if you want to kind of see how I think we're going to kind of do a couple of different ways of doing that. That's a good experience. I usually try to stay the whole 24 hours. So, if there's no excuse for the fact you couldn't come sometime, we'll be there. If we're asleep, wake us up and we'll put you on the radio. So
Was that intended towards me?
Yep. I've got pictures. Yes.
I know you do.
If
Mosquito.
you're there at night, feed the mosquitoes.
Mosquito
right.
spray is also good to have.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
It wasn't too bad there. That wasn't too bad, man. The flies were worse over near the horse show, but I don't remember that being too bad at this location.
And as a courtesy, bring food and water to the station operator.
Yeah, and again, we'll have snacks and stuff there, some healthy and some unhealthy stuff for you. Plenty of waters and sodas and Gatorades and things like that. But if you do have any particular snack that you really like, or any particular drink, juices or whatever, feel free to bring it. Because you can there's plenty of space at the park, so there's plenty of space for you to have your little a mini cooler or something right there with your chair while you help with logging or get on the air or things like that. So good tip.
Comment to mention.
Can you say that again, Warren?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention a comment. I checked with the rules. It seems like the ARRL is also continuing the COVID protocols, and basically what that means is if you don't want to be out in the heat, or you don't want to be out in heat for long and you want to operate some from your home, you can do that, and you can attribute the points that you gain in your home to the club when you submit your logbook. So you can go out there and spend a few hours, and then you want to come home and still participate in the contest and be in the air conditioning. You can do that as well and still benefit the club.
Because they just need to submit the call sign, correct?
No, you have to have a name.
The name of the club.
Okay. And that would be Delta Amateur Radio Club.
Man, I don't know if it stays over 100 degrees. You only get half credit if you're at home in the air conditioning.
Yeah.
I got a camper with air conditioning, but I was told I can't bring it.
Yeah. And one good thing, so we've had some folks bring tents before, so they can set up a tent to kind of be in. That especially helps out with bugs. If you have one of those 10 by 10 stand-up tents, kind of the open sides, and you want to volunteer to bring it, feel free to get in touch with some of the operators, or if you're going to come, feel free to kind of toss it in your vehicle anyway, because you never know. But the good thing about this place, and I think the last park we had too, is that there's quite a few trees in some of the areas. Of course, others, especially as you get down to where the satellite and the digital on solar power will be, there's not as many trees. But up in the gazebo, it wasn't bad last year. And then there was a decent breeze kind of under some of those trees with the other stations. So it's not too bad. Good tips though. All right. I guess anything else that we need to discuss about field day? Or any other questions? All right.
Mary Jean?
Yeah.
Yeah, quick question. For sending in our dues, where was the form you said again? I came in kind of missed it a little bit.
Great question, Tom. So if you go to deltaclub.org, and it might be /membership, but I know for sure deltaclub.org, and if you search in the menu and click on memberships, I'll tell you what, I'll actually pull it up and post the link real quick. On there at the very bottom, you can actually download a copy of the membership form. And then so print, you can, I'm pretty sure you can fill that out before you print it, but if not, print it and fill it out. And at the very top of that, there is a mailing address. And so just send it in with your check. It's still, with everything else going up in price, guys, we are still only charging $20 for a membership for individuals, and then the extra $5 for the family membership. So with everything that we do to kind of supplement different activities, and when we do meet in person, with the snacks, and then of course Delta Club, as well as some of the 2 other major clubs that are going to help with field day, we all kind of pitch in as the 3 clubs to help cover some of the food and snacks and other basic reasonable expenses for field day as well. So it's certainly, as you get involved, kind of get your money's worth out of that $20, and we do our best to stretch it. So let's see.
All right,
So great
thank you.
question. Yeah, so it is, the direct link is deltaclub.org/membership, and I'm posting that now. Right.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, since my power just came back on, I missed the presentation on the logging software, so I had a question on, is it going to be installed at setup time on Saturday on our laptops? I have a copy of it. Should I uninstall mine, and are you going to install it?
It should be installed on each station when you get there.
Okay, thanks.
Whoever brings their
So
computer.
Carolyn, you probably need to install it on yours and bring it, because Barry will probably take her laptop home.
Okay, sure. Okay, all right. No problem.
Or ask, is Barry still on? Barry, Monday, are you on?
I don't think she signed in.
Yeah, she was on.
She was on earlier, yeah.
Okay,
That's
well,
fine.
anyway, she's supposed to take her computer out there, and we're gonna use hers on the CW station.
Right.
Yeah, hey, Carolyn, what we can do.
She's got last year's logging program. Will that work for this year, or do we need to delete that and put in this year's?
There's not enough difference to even tell. You can't tell looking at screens. It's fine.
Well,
Okay.
but you need to start a new file for this year. You need to start a
Right.
new, yeah. You don't need to add. Don't keep adding on. Yeah, you start a new file for this year, but yeah, it's the same program. But Carolyn, it kind of answering maybe your question is, each one of us can record their own, and then we merge them all. We send them into one we'll decide later who's going to kind of submit all of them, and we can merge them.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well,
All right.
John
would
Reiner?
there be any interest in networking everybody together?
They had a talk about possibly networking, not the Wi-Fi to the outside world, but just networking in the area. I don't know if they're going to pursue that or not, though.
Yeah, we've talked about it, but it's better to be ready to not network. Yeah, so if everybody's got their own, what we did last year, we didn't have a network, so we just merged them all together.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I might could bring an old router out, and we could just do a simple local area network, and not have access to the internet, but that would get everybody's login sync. But well, I see Rick holding one up as well. So
Yeah, I'm
okay.
all sitting here. I
I'll
just
shut up.
replaced.
Okay, well, I'll just come prepared. I've got a copy downloaded. I just didn't buy the license, so I'll just go ahead and do that. And we'll be fine.
If you don't want to buy the license, we can wink, wink, help you with that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get in touch with Rick, call him or email him, and he should be able to help you.
Carolyn,
Okay.
I'll send it to you.
All right, thanks, Joe.
Yeah, Joe just asked me for it last week, so he's got it.
Okay, all righty.
Are they close enough to the library to use their internet?
I don't know. It's pretty far. I mean, it's not that far, but for Wi-Fi, it seems like it might be a little far. But I don't know. I don't know that anybody checked last year.
Didn't check, and
tried.
if you got the right Wi-Fi adapter with an external antenna, it might work.
Yeah.
Why do you want the internet?
Yeah, I don't know. Just try something new, I guess.
All right.
Sign up. Okay.
So one thing I looked up real quick to double check the dates, and we are going to have to double check with Daryl on what the plan is. But if they are reaching out to ask for ham radio operators, the bike MS Rock and Ride, let's see what's it called. Yeah, Rock and Ride Bike MS, I think 150 is September 10th and 11th. So that should be, I think, a Saturday and a Sunday, if I remember correctly. So September 10th and 11th. So if you have any interest in that, put it down. But again, we haven't confirmed yet if they even need ham radio operators, and we'll have to get some more details on that. But that is the date that it's scheduled for as of right now. So. All right. Well, I think that's everything I had. Do we have anything else that we need to discuss tonight? All right. Well, we are ready to adjourn. Is there any objection to adjourning? Excuse me. Okay. Well, hearing none, at 8:23, we stand adjourned.
Good night, all.